name's... Do you want to take this off?
No.
Is that alright? Yeah?
Do you like my name and stuff?
No.
You sure?
Yeah. Okay, great. It's just going to be easier to talk to you.
Yeah.
With what we're talking about, okay? So, my name's Dick. I'm going to take some questions. This is Aaron. Aaron Cash is also and Marcus Sanders. Okay? So, we're here to talk to you about Sarah. I'm going to show you a picture. Do you know Sarah?
I don't know.
Okay. Sarah went missing. I'll show you some pictures of her on the day.
Okay.
Sarah went missing on Wednesday, and her parents obviously and her family are really worried about her now. The inquiry that's been conducted so far has led us to come and speak to you about it and to see what you know about Sarah. Okay. So, would you like to? Do you know where Sarah is?
No.
Right. Okay. Do you know anything about what happened to her?
I know that she went missing up in London somewhere. About a week ago or so. Just from what I got on the news.
Okay. Have you ever personally met her?
No, not personally, no.
Have you had any interactions with her at all?
No, why would I have personal interactions with her?
Well, it's very difficult because I can't go into a lot of the evidence because obviously that's not part of what an urgent interview is, okay? This interview is just about trying to find her. Because she's been missing for a while now.
I'm sat in handcuffs and you're asking me what I know her, so you must have something to say that I know her.
Well, as I said, you've been arrested on suspicion of kidnap, and we believe that you've been involved in her disappearance and taking her away from her family.
Okay. So
we are trying to find her. Obviously, everybody is very worried about her. She's got, parents. She's got she's siblings. She's got a boyfriend. There's a lot of people that care about her.
Sure.
You've seen her on the news. The number of people that are reaching out about her.
Sure.
Out there looking for her every day, and she's missing. And our primary job here is to find her and to try and find her safe and well.
Okay.
Now, we believe that you know something about where she is, and that's why we're here to look for her and to try and find her. And that's why we're talking to you now, is to try and get you to have a good think about it and tell us anything you can about whether we might be able to find her.
Okay. Well, I am in financial shit, and I've been lent on by I don't know who they are. They're a group, a gang, whatever, and they told me, right, I need to go and pick up girls and give them to them. So I said, not happening, and it then came through that they're going to harm my family, take them away, and they'll use them instead. At that point I had no option to try and find somebody. So I don't, there's a couple of names. I was told a place to take her. That's it. That is all I know. I handed it to this group of people.
Tell me about them. I need to find them. Tell me everything you know that I think that you'll help me.
There was a white Sprinter van. They was between sort of Lenham, Maidstone area that I dropped her off. I still don't know. I don't know. They just I just parked my car up, and then the van come up behind me, flashed me. They all jumped out, and then they took this girl. They said, you've done good, and I don't know whether my family's going to be alright still. But they threatened to take my family away from me. So at that point, I'm doing what I can to protect my family. That's it. So all I know is that it was a roundabout. We could drive there now. I could show you. But roughly, I don't know Lenham Maidstone area at all.
If we did it on Google, if we did it on Google Maps, like Google Earth, if we drove it, would you
Right.
be able to do it?
I drove from Ashford to Maidstone.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
There's a roundabout that breaks up, I guess. So this is the first big roundabout you come to. And you would carry straight over to Maidstone, but instead I went round that roundabout and back up another road. And at that point, I was flashed and pulled over. Three guys got out, opened my door, opened that door, pushed me out against the front of the car, took the girl, drove off. That's it. They said, we'll be in touch. So I'm here, I'm off work with stress because I'm here to protect my family. I want to be here 24/7 for my family. They come from my family. I've got nothing myself. I've got no choice.
I'll go back through the route with you in a minute, alright? But how do they contact you? How did you contact them?
I tried to fuck over one of their call girls and rip her off. So she's told them, and they've got me. So
How do they, no, but how do they contact you? How is it they've been in contact with you to make these threats?
they just tell me, be here, be here. So Hotel Burston down in Folkestone, got to be here. Okay, so I turned up. I've got no mobile number, and they have got my mobile number. They're obviously outside watching, following. I just, honestly.
How are they telling you to be there? How is it they're giving those directions?
Yeah, they'll come outside. So they'll be outside here.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, right, you're going to be in Folkestone at this time, or you're going to be in Ashford at this time. And that's it. There's no links, no telephone numbers. I'm completely on my own, but at the same time being threatened. It had Romanian plates on the van, white, like Mercedes Sprinter type van. There's a transporter, a blue.
BDTV. Listen, today we're gonna shine some light on an old case. I'm talking about Wayne Couzens. If you didn't know, he's the individual who unalived Sarah Everard. He was a police officer. But this happened in 2021. So why am I talking about it now in 2026? Well, because my page is new. And I feel these are the sorts of stories I want in my archives. I want to shine a light on it so my people can understand. I want you to understand the kind of channel we are, the kind of issues we're going to be touching upon. We're going to be doing deep dives into these vile human beings. You understand? So understand that we're going to be doing deep dives. So let me know what you think. I'm sure you've heard about him already, but let me just give you my take. And first, before that, let me just give you a little, overview of the story. So listen, it was March 2021 when 33-year-old Sarah Everard was kidnapped in South London, England, as she was walking home the Brixton Hill area from a friend's house near Clapham Common. She was stopped by an off-duty officer, Wayne Couzens. Of course, at the time, she wouldn't have known this. He identified himself as a police officer and handcuffed her. He drove her to Kent, where he raped, strangled, and burned her body. So listen, we touch upon these grapists. We use the word grape. We're not trying to get no YouTube violations or breach no guidelines. So he raped and unalived her. And he strangled her before disposing of her body in a pond. Listen, this is somebody who's meant to be a police officer, all right? This is somebody who's meant to be a police officer. So, we've spoken on the cretin, JV. You know who JV is, the cretin. That guy wasn't a police officer. What was he? He was not. This individual is somebody who is meant to safeguard and protect society. So that's why this makes this an especially heinous crime. Really and truly here, we just touch upon the most heinous, the worst of the worst. I'm sure there's hundreds of thousands of heinous individuals, but we're going to only touch upon that elite group of people. Anyway, back to the story. On March the 9th, Wayne Couzens was arrested. First on suspicion of kidnapping, because then they didn't know what he had done. A day later, he was arrested on suspicion of unaliving her. Her remains remained undiscovered until the 10th of March, following her identification, when Waynes was subsequently charged with her murder. Vigils were held for her on the 13th. The vigil on Clapham Common, near where she had been kidnapped, led to a controversial police response, where there were 4 arrests for breaches of COVID-19 regulations. If you remember, that was during the peak and the height of COVID-19. The murder gave rise to widespread debates about the role of police in British society and women's safety in the UK. You know, here we care about women's safety. On the 8th of June, Couzens pleaded guilty to Everard's kidnapping and rape. On the 9th of July, he pleaded guilty to her unaliving. On the 30th of September, he was sentenced to a whole life imprisonment with a whole life order. A public inquiry was chaired by Lady Elish Angolini, KC. It was commissioned to investigate how Couzens was permitted to serve as a police officer despite an extensive history of alleged SA offences. The first part of that report, published his report in February 2024, found that Couzens had a history of SA offending and that failings in vetting processes allowed him to be a police officer. Listen, I'm not surprised, because we know a lot of these people like to protect their own. A lot of these people high up in authority, they condone these attitudes and behaviors. Listen, let's do a little deep dive into this vile individual, Wayne Couzens. Wayne Couzens. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about where he is after I finish this, because we know what prison he's in right now, and we know how he's finding his time. Wayne Couzens was born in Dover, Kent, on the 20th of December, 1972. He was educated in Councilmount School. After taking GCSEs, worked as a mechanic in his family's garage. He enlisted as a private with the Territorial Army in 2002. And over the following 4 years, he successfully applied to be a police officer on 3 occasions. 3 occasions. Yet somehow he clearly managed to get it in the end, right? What does that say about the systems in place? He joined Kent Police as a special constable in 2006 and was discharged from the Territorial Army the following year for failing to fulfill training obligations. Isn't that an alarm bell, people? Isn't that an alarm? In the late 2010, Couzens was vetted for recruitment to the Civil Nuclear Constabulary. In the early 2011, he resigned from Kent Police and took up the role of an authorized firearms officer with the CNC. He transferred to the Met Police in September 2018, working as a police constable and firearms officer. A lot of these firearms officers, we're going to do a deep dive into David Carrick. Is it David Carrick? In a few days' time. But yeah, Wayne Couzens, David Carrick, these two, it's like they go to school to learn how to do what they do. See what I'm saying? These firearms officers of the UK have a lot to answer and answer for, because it seems there's a pattern where these firearms officers seem to be involved in egregious acts against women. What is it with women? Couzens was assigned to the Parliamentary Diplomatic and Protection Branch. He was looking after, high net worth individuals, politicians, diplomats. So he was very trusted. How an individual like him can be trusted, I don't know. I really don't know. This division is responsible for the uniform protection of government and diplomatic premises. Couzens had not undergone enhanced vetting as part of his recruitment. I wonder why that was. Nor had he gone through the mandatory 2-year probation period with the Met before joining. What are we doing? The case sparked debate surrounding the role of police in UK society and police violence. The police were criticised both for their crackdown on vigils on Sarah Everard during the COVID-19 lockdown and for the failure to prevent the murder in the first instance. Not only did Kemp Elite not take any action after the alleged incident or indecent exposure in 2015, because he had allegations made in 2015, 6 years before he unalived and raped Sarah Everard, but Couzens had faced at least 2 other accusations of indecent exposure that had not been properly investigated, and he had been involved in an incident in 2002 that was missed in his vetting. 2002, over 19 years before he unalived Sarah Everard. What are we doing? In the early October 2021, it was reported that Couzens' colleagues had once been forced to call him back to the station from patrol after a prostitute had visited the station demanding money from him. Oh my Lord. In mid-October, it was reported that police had investigated claims that Couzens had essayed a drag queen at a pub in Deal in 2018. Oh my God. Radio presenter Emma B also came forward to say that she had attempted to report Couzens in 2008 after he had exposed himself to her in an alley in Greenwich, but the police had laughed at her. Here we go. The Old Boys Network, 2008. So if that was dealt with then, would Sarah Everard have been raped and unalived? Clearly not. The police culture in the UK also came under criticism. An officer who had been part of the search for Everard was suspended from duties after sharing an inappropriate graphic images of social media. 5 officers were placed under investigation for sharing grossly offensive material with Couzens before he committed the unaliving. And several officers were criticised for giving character references for Couzens during the sentencing hearing. What? Listen, if you haven't heard this before, this is mental. Yeah, because I had to do my research into this issue before I made a video. And what I'm hearing is crazy, because sometimes you only hear the headlines, you don't do deep dives. And listen, several officers were criticized for giving character references. So after they knew he raped and unalived an innocent woman, beautiful innocent young woman, they still gave him character references. Those officers should be arrested and jailed, and they should be investigated. Because why would they think that's acceptable to do? These are people who are supposed to protect and uphold the law. They ain't protecting and helping me, that's for sure. Oh my God. Several female officers told the press that they did not feel as if they could report concerning behavior about male colleagues. Disgusting. The Independent Office for Police Conduct launched an investigation into whether 2 officers had responded appropriately to reports from 28th of February that Couzens had indecently exposed himself at a branch of McDonald's in Swanley, Kent. He had been questioned about these allegations days before he unalived Sarah. So listen, if that was addressed, Sarah will still be here. So listen, there's multiple instances where he could have been stopped days before the offense and as far back as 19 years ago. The IOPC also reported that it was investigating whether Kent police had properly investigated allegations of indecent exposure against Couzens made in 2015 when he was employed as an armed officer by the Civil Nuclear Constabulary. On the 9th of July, the IOPC announced that it had served 12 misconduct notices on officers in regard to the investigation. Old Boys Network. On the 30th of September 2021, after Couzens' sentencing, the Met stated that people should consider shouting to a passerby running into a house, knocking on the door, waving the bus down, or if you're in a position to do so, calling 999 if they felt uncomfortable when being stopped by a single police officer. Listen, how realistic is that? You can run from police and potentially get shot with a taser. Anything can happen. That's outrageous. And why should a woman have to be put in that position where she feels she needs to run from the police? We should be able to trust police. Police should do their vetting properly. That is an outrageous suggestion from the Met Police. The Met rightly so received criticism for the statement, with commentators arguing that this would not have prevented Everard's murder, as Couzens was a police officer with the power of arrests and could also leave people facing charges of resisting arrest. Clearly. North Yorkshire Police Fire and Crime Commissioner Philip Allott faced calls to resign and was criticised for victim blaming after suggesting similarly, stating that women needed to learn more about the law and needed to be streetwise about what they can be arrested for and what they can't be arrested for. That is a stupid, outrageous thing for this crime commissioner to have stated. Yeah, oh my God, what are we doing? Following a unanimous vote of no confidence on the 14th of October, this useless crime commissioner, who refused to resign initially, was chucked out. They were chucked out. The British government also came under criticism for its response to the murder, notably for proposing extra powers and funding to the police. So basically just trying to make it more possible for the Wayne Carricks, for the Wayne Couzens and the Carricks of this world to permit and commit these heinous crimes. Heinous crimes. These are police officers. They are no better than They are no better than anyone else. No better. They are worse. They should be held to a higher standard. And these people have been found wanting. Wayne Couzens has been found wanting. He's the worst of the worst. He's got a whole life order and he's never getting out, and rightly so. The government had announced it would spend an additional 25 million on street lightings and CCTV cameras, as well as launch a pilot scheme to send undercover officers into bars and clubs, and was advancing the police and crime sentences and courts bill before Parliament, which would have given police broad authority to place restrictions on protest and public assembly. Cressida Dick, the Met Commissioner, faced calls to resign. Listen, all of that is just ridiculous. You understand? This is the state of society. This is where we find ourselves, where police officers are given carte blanche to do what they want. Police investigating police. That's clearly not working out, because boys will be boys, and I say boys will be boys. Whether it's women police, there's no different. There's a network, there's a club, and they stick together. There's a wall of silence which needs to be broken. There should be a duty of candor. If police do not report their colleagues, they should be held equally liable for that offence that they know their colleague to have committed. If you support that statement, let me know. A duty of candor for police to report crimes committed by their colleagues. And I guarantee you that will resolve a lot of stuff, because clearly the whistleblowing laws in society today are not working. That's why there will be more Wayne Couzens, there will be more David Carricks. Anyway, listen, right now, from what I've been told, this vile human being, Wayne Couzens, he's currently in HMP Franklin, an ACAT establishment, and he is not having a nice time. Believe me, he hasn't got no power in that establishment. He is not able to bully women and girls. He is not able to impose himself. He is no longer a respected member of society. Listen, of course he's an officer, so he will be treated in a very special way, protected. That's why we've yet to hear him being dealt with, let's just say. He has not been dealt with, because like I say, they look after their own ultimately. We saw what happened to Ian Huntley, Ian Watkins. We've yet to hear the same for Wayne Couzens and David Carrick, because they are police officers and they get special treatment. Listen, this was a very sad moment in our history. For some of us, we understand police are bad people. We do not fall under any illusion that they are for the people. Some people might have been surprised by these crimes, while there'll be a majority of people, especially from the inner cities, who would have known police are wrong'uns. And this is a clear-cut case of a wrong'un who was protected by his colleagues. Listen, I would advise and suggest you all to do your research into this case, check other pages, just get a better knowledge and understanding. Do not think because somebody's wearing a uniform that they're on your side, that they're the good guys. No, a lot of individuals, a lot of police officers go into these job roles with the view of oppressing people. And this is what we had here. We had a beautiful woman, Sarah Avrod. Her life was taken far too soon by this vile Wayne Couzens. Listen, let me know what you think in the comments. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.